Welcome to the part 5 of this video series. Here we are discussing Azure AI 900 important exam questions. We will decode each and every option and arrive at the right answer. Please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. Please drop in your comments if you have any constructive feedback or if you want to put in 2 lines of appreciation. Let's jump to the questions. For questions 1 to 24, please refer parts 1 to 4 of this video series. Now, if you want to predict how many hours of overtime a delivery person will work on, this is an example of regression. Like I explained in my previous videos, that whenever you see a prediction of a number, it is always regression. Let's move to the next question. This question is asking about data values that influence the prediction of a model. This is features. Only features will affect this. Labels are used. Suppose in case of classification or clustering model, when you want to label the data sets, that time you use labels. We'll lock this answer and move to the next question. This question is asking about a banking system where you want to predict if a loan will be repaid or not. This is an example of classification because you would try to classify the customers based on certain set of parameters, like who will pay the loan and who will not repay the loan. This is not asking anything to predict about numbers and numeric values like what will be the sales or what will be the product manufactured, how many products will be manufactured, etc. It is not a number. If it was a number, we would have used regression, but since it is asking about whether a loan will be repaid or not, you will be doing a classification, grouping those customers, and accordingly classification model will work here. In this question, you have to mark each statement as yes or no. In the exam, you get the exactly same format. So this question, there are 3 statements and we have to mark yes or no. So the first statement says labeling is a process of tagging training data with known values. Yes, this is what we do as a part of training. Now the second statement says you should evaluate a model by using the same data used to train the model. You should never do that. You should not evaluate a model using the trained data or the data that you use for training. You should use the entire set of data sets. So what happens is, if suppose you have a big chunk of data, suppose an Excel sheet, and you want to train the model, so what you do is you just take a subset of that data and you train the model, and once you have trained the model, you open it to the big chunk of data sets. So when you want to evaluate a model, you should use the full set of data. So the answer is no here. Third one says accuracy is always the primary metric used to measure model's performance. No, it is not always the primary metric. The third statement says accuracy is always the primary metric used to measure a model's performance. That's no. Actually, accuracy metrics does not properly capture the performance of the classifiers. That's the reason why accuracy is not always the primary metric. If you see these options, you can use the dash service to train an object detection model. Whenever you see that you have to train an object detection model, it's always custom vision. Form recognizer is for, if you have to identify a certain sort of key fields or tables which is in a scanned document, then we use a form recognizer. Video indexer is primarily for insights extraction and curation. So that's a very different service, and it is relevant for videos. In our question, we are talking about images, so video indexer is out of context here. Let's move to the next question. Here the ask is the natural language processing can be used for what purpose? So there are these options. Let's start from option A. So classify email messages as work related or personal. Yes, this is something which NLP can do. Using NLP, you can read the email messages and say whether this is work related or personal. That is possible. And second, predict the number of future car rentals. You cannot do that. For this purpose, we have to use regression model. Third says predict which website visitors will make a transaction. For this purpose, you will have to use classification model. This is not a part of natural language processing. And fourth says stop a process in a factory when extremely high temperatures are registered. So this use case doesn't have anything to do with NLP. NLP, because there is no document or there is no email message, etc. So whenever you use NLP, there has to be some sort of document, email messages or something of that sort, or JSON document, something where the messages can be read. So hence we will move ahead with this option as the right answer. This is the right answer. Let's move to the next question. So here there are 3 statements and we have to mark whether it is yes or no. The text analytics service can identify in which language text is written. So this answer for this purpose is yes, because in the text analytics you can identify. So what is text analytics? Suppose there is a Twitter feed coming in the text analytics can go through the tutor feed, which is an unstructured document, or it is something like a JSON document, and it can then understand which language it is written in. The tutor feed can be in different languages, can be in Tamil, Hindi, German, French, or English, etc. So this option, for this statement, the answer is yes. So let's move to the next statement. The text analytics service can detect handwritten signatures in a document. This is no, because it cannot detect the signatures in a document. It is primarily used like if there is a tutor feed or there is a JSON document, it can then try to understand that text. It can read that text and try to make sense out of it, like which language it is in, or if you want to just identify a few set of, for example, companies or organizations, like the third statement here, then you can use text analytics. So the answer for the second statement is no, and for the third statement is yes, because text analytics can identify companies and organizations mentioned in a document. Suppose there is a JSON document, and if there is a company name called, say, Tata Consulting or Ericsson or some Accenture, something of that sort, it can, and you just want to identify those text, or you want to, whenever a company name comes, you want to retrieve that and put it somewhere else, then that kind of functionality is possible here. So we will log these three answers and move forward. This is the next question. So this question says, if you have to monitor online service reviews for profanities, this is an example of NLP. Yes, using natural language processing, you can take the tutor feeds, and then you can check if there are profanities there, or if there are any online service reviews. For example, Amazon.com, for a product there is a service review, and if there are profanities there, then you will have to block that feedback or comment. That is possible through natural language processing. So the answer is yes here. The second statement says, identifying brand logos in an image is an example of natural language processing. Take the example of this image, and there is a brand here, Amazon. So can you do it through NLP? No, you can do it through custom vision, but you cannot do it through NLP, because this is a property of custom vision. The third statement says, monitoring public news sites for negative mentions of a product. For example, you can go to Times of India or IndianExpress.com or Rediff.com or BBC.com, and you can see if there, for a product, if there are negative reviews or not. That is possible through natural language processing. So the answer is yes here, because on the news sites, what you're doing is you're going through the text, and anything to do with the text, NLP is capable of. So the right answer is yes. So these are our three answers. Let's move to the next question. Actually, there is no next question because we are towards the end of this video. Please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. See you in the next part of this video series.